my fiancé. At our prenup meeting, she said, "My assets stay separate. Your last divorce says enough about your judgment." Her lawyer avoided eye contact. I signed the page calmly. Smart. Later, I quietly reversed one transfer she assumed was permanent. That evening, she opened her wedding binder and froze at what was sitting inside. I'm 35, getting married for the second time in 2 months, and I just learned that some people use your past against you while hiding their own agenda. My first marriage ended 3 years ago. Messy divorce. My ex-wife cheated. I filed. She wanted half of everything despite her affair. We battled in court for 18 months. I lost a lot financially, kept my business, but paid significant alimony. Learned expensive lessons about trust and prenuptial agreements. Met my current fiancée a year after the divorce finalized. She was different from my ex, or so I thought. Successful, independent, had her own career in pharmaceutical sales, made good money, owned her condo, seemed financially secure. We connected quickly, started dating. Things moved fast. After a year together, I proposed. She said yes immediately, started planning the wedding right away. Big event, 200 guests, expensive venue, designer dress, no expense spared. I was paying for most of it. She contributed some, but expected me to cover the majority. Said it was traditional for the groom's family to handle it. I agreed. Wanted her to have her dream wedding. Wanted to start fresh. Wanted to show I was committed despite my past. 3 months before the wedding, she brought up the prenup. We were having dinner. She'd been quiet all evening. Finally spoke up. "We need to talk about a prenup." "Okay, I actually think that's smart." "You do?" "Yeah. After what I went through, I understand the value of protecting assets." "Good, because I need mine protected." "Of course. We'll protect both of ours." She hesitated. "I want to keep everything separate. What's mine stays mine. What's yours stays yours." "That's fair. Standard prenup structure. And I want it clear that your previous divorce, your judgment there, that won't affect me financially." I put down my fork. "What does that mean?" "It means you made bad choices before. Married the wrong person, lost money because of it. I need to know I'm protected from any fallout." "Fallout? We're getting married. We're supposed to be partners." "We are partners. But that doesn't mean I risk my assets because you have a history of poor decisions. My ex cheated on me. That wasn't poor judgment. That was betrayal. You chose to marry her. That was the poor judgment." I stared at her. "Are you seriously blaming me for my ex's affair?" "I'm saying you ignored red flags, and now I need to protect myself." We finished dinner in silence. I was hurt, angry, but also pragmatic. She wasn't wrong about needing protection. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. Just didn't like her framing it as my fault. The following week, we met with her lawyer. She'd already drafted a prenup. Didn't ask for my input. Just had it ready. The meeting was in her lawyer's office. Big conference room, mahogany table, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Her lawyer was polished, expensive suit, all business. He walked through the document. Everything separate. No commingling of assets, no shared accounts. Even the house we'd planned to buy together would be in separate portions. 67% her, 33% me, because she'd be putting more down payment. "Wait," I said. "We're splitting the house 67-33? "Based on financial contribution," her lawyer said. "It's proportional." "But we're married. Don't married couples usually do things 50-50? My fiancé spoke up. "Not when one person has proven they make bad financial decisions." "Are you referring to my divorce again?" "I'm referring to the fact that you lost significant money, money that could have been protected. I'm not making that mistake." Her lawyer avoided eye contact, kept focused on his papers, clearly uncomfortable with her tone. "Anything else?" I asked. "Yes. The wedding costs. You've been paying for most of it. That's considered a gift, not a marital asset. You can't seek reimbursement if we divorce. Why would I seek reimbursement for our wedding? You wouldn't, unless we divorced. Then you might try to claim you paid for it under false pretenses. I'm paying for it because I want to marry you. And this protects both of us. I looked at the prenup again. 17 pages. Every scenario covered. Every asset protected. Her assets. My debts from the previous divorce were mentioned 3 times, highlighted, marked as pre-existing obligations not assumed by bride. My ex-wife's name was even in there, in a clause about previous marital failures and financial imprudence. This document mentions my ex-wife by reference. Why? Her lawyer answered. To establish that debts or obligations arising from your previous marriage remain your sole responsibility. I don't have debts from my previous marriage. I paid everything in the divorce settlement. It's preventative language. Standard protection. I signed the page calmly. Smart. My fiancé looked relieved. Thank you for understanding. I know it seems harsh, but we both need protection. We do. You're absolutely right. We left the meeting. She seemed happy. Lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Kept talking about wedding details, flowers, music, seating charts. I was quiet, thinking, processing, planning. That evening, I went to my own lawyer, the one who'd handled my divorce, explained the prenup, showed him the document. He read it carefully. This is aggressive. Yeah. She's basically protecting everything she has while making sure you're solely responsible for everything you've lost. I know. Why did you sign it? Because I have a plan. I'd been planning something for weeks, ever since she'd started making comments about my poor judgment. Ever since she'd started treating my past like it was a character flaw instead of a painful experience. I'd transferred a significant sum to what I'd presented as our future house fund, $30,000. She'd seen the transfer, knew about it, thought it was locked in for the house we'd buy after the wedding. What she didn't know was that the account was actually in my name only. I'd set it up through my business, structured it as a business investment account, told her it was a joint savings. She believed me, never checked. That money was supposed to be my contribution to our future. Now it was my insurance policy. I'm reversing that transfer, I told my lawyer. The $30,000? Yes. She thinks it's locked in a joint account for our house. It's not. It's in my business account, and I'm moving it back to my personal account. Today. She's going to notice. Eventually. Not until after she opens her wedding binder tonight. What's in her wedding binder? A copy of the prenup, and a note from me. He smiled. What's the note say? That I've decided not to marry someone who thinks my past defines my judgment more than her current behavior defines hers. I'd spent the afternoon preparing, printed a copy of the prenup, highlighted every mention of my poor judgment and previous marital failure, added sticky notes with questions. Is this what partnership looks like to you? Do you respect me at all? Why marry someone you clearly don't trust? Put it all in her wedding binder, the one she kept on our coffee table, the one she looked at every evening, planning, dreaming, expecting. That evening I left work early, got to our place before her, executed the transfer, moved the $30,000 back to my personal account, left a paper trail showing it was a business fund reallocation, legal, documented, irreversible without my consent. Put the prenup and notes in her binder, right on top of her vendor contacts and seating chart drafts. Left before she got home. Went to my brother's place. Waited. Update 1, she called at 7 p.m. I was having a beer with my brother. He knew everything. Was supportive. Thought I was doing the right thing. Her voice was shaking. What is this? What is what? The prenup, in my binder, with your notes all over it. Just highlighting some interesting language. Thought you'd want to review it. Why did you write these questions? Because I have them. Do you respect me? Do you trust me? Because this document suggests you don't. Of course I respect you. You called my previous marriage a failure of judgment in a legal document multiple times. That's just protective language. It's insulting language. It's you using my pain against me. That's not what I was doing. Then what were you doing? Silence. Long silence. Then, where are you? Not home. Are you coming home? Not tonight. We need to talk about this, face to face. We can talk, but not tonight. I need space to think about whether I want to marry someone who treats me like a financial risk. That's not fair. What's not fair is you making my divorce about my judgment instead of about someone betraying me. What's not fair is you protecting yourself while making me feel like I'm the problem. I was just being practical. You were being cruel. There's a difference. I hung up. She called back 4 times. I didn't answer. Finally texted, "I'll contact you tomorrow. Need time." My brother asked, "What about the money transfer?" "She'll notice when she checks that account, probably tomorrow. She's going to be furious. Good. She should feel what I've been feeling." I slept at my brother's. Poorly. Kept thinking about the wedding, about the guests, about the deposits, about everything that was about to implode. Update 2. Next morning, she showed up at my brother's apartment. 8 a.m. I was having coffee. She looked like she hadn't slept. My brother answered the door. "He doesn't want to see you." "I know, but I need to talk to him, please." I came to the door. "What do you want?" "To explain, to apologize, to fix this." "You can't fix this." "Let me try." I stepped outside, closed the door. "You have 5 minutes. The prenup was wrong. The language was wrong. I shouldn't have framed it that way." "Why did you?" "Because I was scared. My friend went through a divorce last year, lost everything. She told me to protect myself no matter what." "So you protected yourself by insulting me?" "I didn't mean it as an insult." "How else should I take previous marital failure and financial imprudence? How else should I interpret you blaming me for my ex's cheating?" "I wasn't blaming you." "Yes, you were. The whole document was about protecting you from my poor judgment." "But what about your judgment? You're marrying someone you clearly don't trust." "I do trust you." "No, you don't. And honestly, I don't trust you either anymore." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not sure we should get married." Her face went white. "Are you calling off the wedding?" "I'm saying I need time to think about whether I want to marry someone who sees me as a liability." "You're not a liability." "Then why does your prenup read like I am?" She didn't have an answer, just stood there, looking lost. "Did you check the house fund account?" I asked. "No. Why?" "Check it, then we'll talk." I went back inside, left her standing there. She pulled out her phone. I watched through the window, saw her face change, confusion, then anger, then panic. She started banging on the door. "What did you do to the money?" I opened it. "I reversed a transfer." "What transfer?" "The $30,000 I put in the joint account. Turns out it wasn't joint. It was my business account, and I moved it back to my personal account." "You can't do that." "I already did. It's my money, from my business, legally mine." "But you said it was for our house." "It was, when I thought we were partners. Now I think we're two people protecting separate assets. Like your prenup says." "That's vindictive. That's practical. I'm just following your lead, protecting my assets from your judgment." "My judgment?" "Yeah, your judgment. You judged me for my past. Now I'm judging you for your present. Seems fair." She was crying now. "Please, don't do this. We can fix this." "How?" "I'll redo the prenup. Remove that language. Make it fair. It's not about the prenup anymore. It's about respect. And I don't feel respected. I respect you. I love you. You love the wedding. You love the idea of being married. But you don't love me, Not the real me. The me who made mistakes. The me who got hurt. The me who's still healing. That's not true. Then prove it. Tell me one thing from my past that you've supported me through. One thing you've been understanding about. She couldn't. Just stood there, silent. That's what I thought. Go home. I'll call you tomorrow. She left. I watched her get in her car, drive away. Felt nothing. No guilt, no regret, just clarity. Update 3. 2 days later, she sent a new prenup. Completely revised. Fair language. 50-50 splits. No mentions of my previous marriage, no judgmental clauses, just straightforward asset protection. I had my lawyer redo it. Please read it. It's what you deserve from the beginning. I read it. It was fair, reasonable, everything the first one should have been. But I wasn't interested anymore. Called her. The new prenup is fine. So we're okay? We can move forward? No. The prenup being fair doesn't fix the fundamental problem. What problem? That you saw me as a risk until I pushed back, that you only changed when you thought you'd lose me. That's not true. I changed because I realized I was wrong. You realized you were wrong when I took my money back. When I showed you I wouldn't just accept being treated poorly. That's not why I changed, isn't it? If I hadn't reversed that transfer, if I hadn't put those notes in your binder, would you have ever reconsidered that prenup? Silence. Exactly. You changed because I forced you to, not because you wanted to. What do you want from me? I want you to understand that marriage isn't about protecting yourself from your partner. It's about building something together, even when it's risky, even when you're scared. I understand that now. Do you? Or are you just saying what I want to hear? I mean it. Then prove it. Tell me about a time you were vulnerable with me, a time you risked something. She couldn't. We'd been together for a year, planning marriage, and she couldn't name one time she'd been truly vulnerable. That's the problem. You want me to be vulnerable, to risk everything, to trust you completely, but you're not willing to do the same. I can change. I can be vulnerable. It doesn't work that way. You can't force vulnerability. It has to be natural, and clearly, it's not natural for you with me. Are you calling off the wedding? I'm saying I need more time to figure out if this is what I want, if you're who I want. How much time? I don't know. Weeks, maybe longer. The wedding is in 2 months. I know. We might need to postpone or cancel. Cancel? We've paid for everything. The venue, the caterers, everything. Money can be refunded or lost. Better than marrying the wrong person. I'm not the wrong person. Maybe, maybe not, but I need to be sure. Update 4. I took 3 weeks to think, stayed at my brother's place, went to therapy, talked to friends, examined why I'd said yes to someone who clearly had trust issues, realized I'd been so focused on not repeating my first marriage that I'd ignored red flags in this relationship. Her control over wedding planning, her insistence on things being done her way, her subtle criticisms of my past. The prenup wasn't the problem. It was the symptom. She'd been treating me like a project to manage, not a partner to build with. Week 3, I made my decision, called her. We need to meet. Okay, when? Tonight, at the coffee shop where we had our first date. Is this about the wedding? Yes. She was there early, looking nervous. I arrived with a folder, sat down across from her. I've made a decision. And I'm calling off the wedding. Her face crumpled. Why? Because I deserve better. Because you never really saw me as an equal, just as someone you needed to protect yourself from. That's not true. It is true. The prenup proved it. Your reaction to me taking my money back proved it. Your inability to be vulnerable proved it. I can change. I told you I can change. I don't want you to change for me. I want you to be with someone you naturally trust, and that's not me. Don't I get a say in this? You had your say when you wrote that first prenup, when you highlighted my poor judgment and financial imprudence. That was your say. Now I'm having mine. I slid the folder across the table. These are the vendor contracts. I've canceled everything I paid for. You'll need to handle the rest. The venue is non-refundable. That's on you, since you insisted on that specific place. You're making me deal with this alone? You wanted separate assets, separate responsibilities. This is what that looks like. This is cruel. This is honest. I'm not interested in marrying someone who treats me like a liability, who uses my past to justify controlling the present. What about the ring? Keep it, sell it, I don't care. It was a gift, not an investment. What about us? There is no us. There's you protecting yourself and me trying to be a partner. Those things aren't compatible. She was crying now. I love you. Maybe you do, but not enough to risk anything. Not enough to be vulnerable. Not enough to build something real. I stood up. Take care of yourself. Find someone you actually trust. Someone you don't need to protect yourself from. I left. She stayed at the table, crying. I felt bad, but also relieved. I dodged something worse than a messy wedding cancellation. I dodged a marriage built on mistrust. Final update. It's been 6 months. The wedding never happened. We lost some money. I lost about $20,000 in non-refundable deposits. She lost $30,000. She tried to sue me for her losses. Her lawyer laughed her out of his office. You can't sue someone for ending an engagement. She's been posting on social media. Vague posting about betrayal, about men who can't commit, about learning painful lessons. Her friends comment supportively. I'm blocked so I only see through mutual friends. I heard she's dating someone new, moved fast. Same pattern probably. Same control. Same protection. Some people don't change. I'm single, focusing on myself. Therapy has helped. Understanding why I attracted someone who needed to control everything. Why I said yes to someone who never truly trusted me. My first divorce taught me about betrayal. This canceled engagement taught me about something worse, about choosing someone who sees love as a liability instead of a gift. The wedding binder incident changed everything, not because of what I put in it, because of what it revealed. That she'd rather protect her assets than build a partnership, that she'd rather highlight my failures than risk her own vulnerability. I signed that prenup calmly because I knew what was coming, knew I wouldn't marry her, knew I'd reverse that transfer, knew I'd put those notes in her binder, knew it would force her to show her true priorities. And she did. When she opened that binder and froze at what was inside, she saw her own words reflected back at her, saw how she'd treated me, saw what she'd prioritized, and instead of understanding, she got defensive. Instead of apologizing genuinely, she tried to manipulate. Instead of being vulnerable, she tried to control the narrative. I'm 35, single, learning that sometimes the person who protects themselves most is the one who hurts you most. Learning that prenups are smart, but cruelty is not. Learning that your past doesn't define your judgment unless you let it. And I'm done letting it. Done letting people use it against me. Done accepting less than I deserve. My fiancé laughed during our rehearsal dinner and said, "Honestly, I only said yes because everyone else was getting married." Everyone at the table laughed except me. I raised my glass, smiled, and said, "Then I guess tomorrow will be unforgettable." The next morning, when she walked into the venue and saw what was waiting at the altar, she froze in place. I'm Blake, 29, and I was supposed to get married on September 15th. Past tense. The wedding was planned for months. Venue booked, invitations sent, honeymoon flights purchased. Everything was ready, or so I thought. The rehearsal dinner was at this Italian restaurant we'd chosen because it was where we had our third date. About 40 people showed up. Immediate family, wedding party, close friends. Everyone was laughing, drinking wine, telling stories about me and Kelsey. It felt perfect. Kelsey looked beautiful in a blue dress, her hair done up even though she said she was just practicing for tomorrow. We were on our second round of drinks when someone, Kelsey's college friend Madison, brought up proposal stories. How everyone in their friend group had gotten engaged within the same year, how it was like dominoes falling. "It's wild how that happens," Madison said. "Like one person gets engaged and suddenly everyone needs to do it." Kelsey laughed. That high, slightly tipsy laugh she got after 2 glasses of wine. Right? Honestly, I only said yes because everyone else was getting married. The table went quiet for maybe half a second before everyone started laughing. Like it was the most hilarious observation. Like she'd made some clever joke about social pressure and timing. Everyone laughed except me. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest, but I kept my face neutral, even managed a smile. Kelsey didn't even look at me. She was too busy laughing with Madison, like she hadn't just told a room full of people that our engagement was based on peer pressure rather than actually wanting to marry me. I raised my glass. Everyone else was mid-laugh, mid-conversation. "Then, I guess tomorrow will be unforgettable," I said. A few people raised their glasses back, not really hearing me. Kelsey clinked her glass against mine without making eye contact, already turning back to Madison to continue their conversation. I sat there through the rest of dinner with this strange calm settling over me. My best man Jake noticed. "You good, man?" he whispered. "Yeah, just tired. Big day tomorrow." "You sure? You look kind of, I don't know, off." "I'm fine. Really." But I wasn't fine. For the rest of the dinner I watched Kelsey. The way she laughed with her friends, posed for photos, accepted congratulations from my family, and I kept hearing those words. I only said yes because everyone else was getting married. Not because she loved me, not because she wanted to spend her life with me, because her friends were doing it, and she didn't want to be left out. The dinner ended around 10. Kelsey kissed my cheek. She was staying at her parents' house for the night, tradition and all that. "See you at the altar tomorrow," she said, smiling. "Don't be late. Wouldn't miss it," I said. After everyone left, I sat in my car in the parking lot for 30 minutes, just thinking, processing, trying to figure out if I'd overreacted to what was maybe just a thoughtless comment made after too much wine. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not explosive anger, cold anger, the kind that makes you see things clearly. I drove home and did something I'd been avoiding for months. I went through Kelsey's social media, her text messages with her friends that she'd shown me before, laughing about inside jokes, her private Instagram that I had the password to because we'd agreed to full transparency after a fight 6 months ago about her ex liking her photos. I found a group chat, Kelsey and her college friends. I scrolled back to April when I'd proposed. Madison: "OMG, you said yes." Kelsey: "I mean, what else was I supposed to do? Everyone's getting married." Madison: "Do you love him though?" Kelsey: "He's fine. He's stable. He'll be a good husband." Madison: "That's not the same as loving him, Kelsey. It's practical. Love is overrated anyway." There were more messages. Kelsey complaining about wedding planning being tedious. Kelsey talking about how her mom was thrilled because I had good prospects. Kelsey discussing how she'd probably want to move back to her hometown after a few years, but I'd never agree to it, so she was dealing with that later. Nowhere in any of these conversations did she say she was excited to marry me, that she loved me, that she saw a future with me beyond the wedding itself. I sat on my couch with my phone in my hand, reading message after message, and something crystallized in my mind. I called Jake. "Dude, it's almost midnight. Aren't you supposed to be sleeping before your big day?" "I need your help with something tomorrow morning, before the ceremony." "Yeah, of course. What's up?" "I'll tell you tomorrow. Can you meet me at the venue at 7? Just you. Don't tell anyone." "Blake, you're kind of scaring me. Is everything okay?" "It will be. Tomorrow will be unforgettable, just like I said. Update 1. I didn't sleep that night. At 4 a.m., I was sitting at my laptop making arrangements, canceling the honeymoon flights, canceling our hotel reservation for tomorrow night, calling the venue, they had a 24-hour emergency line, and requesting a specific change to the setup. The venue manager sounded confused, but agreed when I explained it was crucial. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" she asked. 100%. At 7 a.m., Jake met me at the venue. It was this beautiful garden space, flowers everywhere, chairs set up in perfect rows. Everything looked exactly how Kelsey had envisioned it. "What's going on?" Jake asked. "Please tell me you're not freaking out about cold feet or something." "No cold feet, but I'm not getting married today." "What?" I showed him the messages, all of them. He read in silence, his face getting harder with each screenshot. "Jesus Christ," he said finally. "Blake, I'm so sorry. Don't be. I'm okay. Better than okay. I'm clear-headed for the first time in months." "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to make sure this wedding is unforgettable, exactly like I promised." I explained my plan. Jake's eyes went wide. "Dude, that's brutal." She said yes because everyone else was getting married. She told 40 people that last night. She thinks it's funny. Let's see if she's still laughing. The venue had already made the change I'd requested. Where the arch was supposed to be, where I was supposed to stand waiting for Kelsey, they'd set up a projection screen. Large, impossible to miss. I connected my laptop and loaded the presentation I'd made, screenshots of the group chat, Kelsey's messages about me being fine and stable, her discussing how love is overrated, her complaining about wedding planning, all of it with timestamps, organized chronologically. "When she walks in," I told Jake, "this is what she'll see. Not me, not flowers, just the truth." "And you're sure about this?" "There's no going back once you do this. I've never been more sure of anything." The ceremony was scheduled for 11. At 10:45, guests started arriving. I wasn't there. I was in the venue office with Jake, watching through a window. My family arrived looking confused that I wasn't visible yet. Kelsey's family arrived looking excited and elegant. At exactly 11, the doors opened and Kelsey walked in with her father. She looked stunning in her dress, veil trailing behind her, holding a bouquet of white roses. She walked down the aisle, smiling at guests, waving slightly at friends. Her father looked proud. Everyone was standing, phones out, capturing the moment. She reached the front, looked up at the altar to where I should have been standing, and froze. The projection screen was impossible to miss. Her messages blown up large enough that everyone in the venue could read them. Her father's face went from proud to horrified in seconds. The music continued playing, some romantic instrumental that now felt absurd. Kelsey turned, looking for me in the crowd. Her face was pale, makeup suddenly looking too stark against her white skin. I stepped out from the office at the back of the venue and walked down the center aisle. Everyone turned to look at me. The whispers had already started. People were reading the messages, pulling out their own phones to take photos of the screen. "Blake?" Kelsey's voice was small. "What is this?" I stopped about 10 feet away from her. "This is unforgettable, just like I promised." "You can't. This is..." She looked at her father, at the crowd, back at me. "You're humiliating me. You humiliated yourself. These are your words, Kelsey. Your messages to your friends. The truth about why you said yes. I'm just making sure everyone knows it." Her mother stood up. "Blake, this is inappropriate. Turn that off immediately." "Mrs. Carson, did you know your daughter only agreed to marry me because her friends were getting married? That she thinks love is overrated? That she considers me fine and stable, but never once said she actually loves me?" Kelsey was crying now, mascara starting to run. I was venting to friends. Everyone vents. Those messages don't mean anything. They mean everything. They mean I was about to marry someone who sees me as a practical choice, not someone she wants to build a life with. Please, she said, stepping toward me. Please, let's talk about this privately. Don't do this here. You made a joke about it last night at the rehearsal dinner. In front of 40 people. You thought it was funny that you only said yes because everyone else was getting married. So I figured you wouldn't mind everyone knowing the full story. Jake appeared at my side. Dude, venue manager says we need to wrap this up. Other events scheduled today. I nodded, looked at Kelsey one more time. I hope you find someone you actually love. Someone who's more than just fine and stable. I turned and walked back down the aisle. Behind me, chaos was erupting. Kelsey was sobbing. Her mother was yelling at someone. Guests were pulling out their phones, some filming, some calling other people. Jake and I got in my car and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I could see people flooding out of the venue, clusters of confusion and drama. Where are we going? Jake asked. Anywhere but here. Update 2. The fallout was immediate and nuclear. By that afternoon, the story was everywhere. Friend groups, social media, apparently even some local news sites picked it up as a wedding disaster story. My phone was blowing up, family members demanding to know what happened, friends asking if I was okay, Kelsey calling from multiple numbers, leaving voicemails that ranged from apologetic to angry to desperate. I turned my phone off for 3 days, stayed at Jake's place. His girlfriend Emily was sympathetic. She'd always liked Kelsey, but admitted she'd sometimes seemed more interested in the wedding than the marriage. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had over 300 messages. I ignored most of them, but I read the ones from my parents and my sister, my mom. I wish you'd come to us before doing this publicly, but I understand why you did it. I'm sorry, honey. You deserved better. My dad. That took guts. Probably not how I would have handled it, but I get it. You're staying with Jake? My sister. Holy shit. Are you okay? Everyone's talking about this. Kelsey's mom called Mom screaming about lawsuits. What even happened? I called my sister back, explained everything. The rehearsal dinner comment, finding the messages, the decision to expose everything at the venue. Wow, she said when I finished. Just, wow. You think I went too far? Honestly? I don't know. Part of me thinks you could have just called off the wedding quietly, but part of me thinks she had it coming after that comment at dinner, and the messages. I keep replaying it, watching her face when she saw the screen. Part of me feels guilty. The guilty part will fade. The part that knows you dodged a bullet will stick around. She was right. A week later, the guilt was mostly gone, replaced by relief. Relief that I'd found out before actually marrying her. Relief that I'd had the courage to walk away publicly after she'd mocked our engagement publicly. Kelsey's family threatened legal action. Something about emotional distress and defamation. My lawyer laughed when I showed him the screenshots. Truth is an absolute defense to defamation. She wrote those messages. You just displayed them. They've got nothing. The legal threats disappeared after that. Update 3. 2 weeks after the non-wedding, Kelsey showed up at my apartment. I'd moved back there after a week at Jake's place. She was waiting in the lobby when I got home from work. Blake, please, can we talk? I considered walking past her. 5 minutes. We sat on a bench outside the building. She looked terrible. Weight loss, dark circles, hair not styled like she usually kept it. I'm so sorry, she started. For everything. The comment at dinner, the messages, all of it. Okay. Okay? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Kelsey? That I forgive you? That we can work through this? I don't know. Maybe? I've been in therapy, trying to figure out why I said those things, why I thought like that. And I think I was scared. Of commitment. Of making the wrong choice. So I convinced myself it was practical rather than emotional. That I was being smart instead of being in love. Were you in love with me? Ever? She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. I cared about you. I liked being with you. But you weren't in love with me. I don't know, I thought I was. Or I thought it didn't matter. That love fades anyway, and what matters is compatibility. We weren't compatible, Kelsey. You wanted different things, you just never told me. You were planning to move back to your hometown eventually, and dealing with it later. That's not compatibility. That's avoidance. I know that now. I'm sorry. I believe you're sorry. But sorry doesn't change anything. You were ready to marry me without actually wanting to. That's not something I can forgive. So this is really it? We're done? We've been done since the moment you said you only said yes because everyone else was getting married. She started crying. I didn't comfort her. We sat in silence for a minute before she stood up. For what it's worth, you deserved better than what I gave you. I hope you find someone who appreciates you. I hope you find someone you actually love. She walked away. I never saw her again. Final update. It's been 3 months. I'm doing surprisingly well. Better than I thought I would be. The apartment doesn't feel lonely. It feels peaceful, like I can finally breathe without worrying about whether I'm measuring up to some standard I didn't know existed. I heard through mutual friends that Kelsey moved back to her hometown, working at her dad's company, dating someone from high school apparently. Good for her. I hope she's honest with him. The wedding would have cost me about $40,000. I lost maybe 20% of that in non-refundable deposits. Worth every penny. Some people still think I went too far with the projection screen, that I could have just called off the wedding privately, sent a text, made up an excuse. But here's the thing. She made a joke about our engagement at a dinner with 40 people. She humiliated me without even realizing it. The projection screen was just showing everyone what she actually thought, rather than the performance she was putting on. Jake asked me last week if I'd do it differently, knowing what I know now. Maybe, I admitted. Maybe I'd have confronted her privately first, but then again, maybe I wouldn't. She spent months lying to me about her reasons for saying yes. She was ready to fake her way through a marriage. That deserved to be exposed. Fair enough. You seeing anyone? Not yet. Might take a while before I trust someone enough to get there again. That's valid. My therapist, yes, I got a therapist after all this, says I'm processing things in a healthy way. That I'm allowed to be angry, allowed to feel betrayed, allowed to have handled it how I did as long as I learn from it. What am I supposed to learn? I asked her. That people lie? I already knew that. That you deserve someone who chooses you enthusiastically, not practically. Not because all their friends are getting married, but because they actually want you. She's right, and I'm okay waiting for that person. No rush, no pressure, no proposing because everyone else is doing it. The irony isn't lost on me that Kelsey's complaint about peer pressure in marriage led to me calling off a wedding where she was marrying me because of peer pressure. Life's funny like that. My mom asked me yesterday if I regret anything about how I handled it. I thought about it honestly before answering. I regret not finding those messages sooner. Everything else? Number. She made a choice about why she said yes. I made a choice about what to do when I found out. We both have to live with our choices. That's very mature of you. Or very traumatized. Hard to tell sometimes. She laughed. You're going to be okay, Blake. You're already okay. She's right. I am okay. Better than okay. I'm free. Free from someone who saw me as a checkbox on her life plan rather than a person she wanted to build a life with. The wedding was supposed to be unforgettable. Mission accomplished. My girlfriend pulled me aside before the annual board reception. Stay quiet tonight, these people matter. I nodded and stepped back. When the guest of honor arrived, she didn't even glance at my girlfriend. She walked straight toward me, paused for a second and said something that shifted the entire room. I'm 35, been with my girlfriend for 4 years. We met through mutual friends at a charity fundraiser where she was working the room like a pro, and I was there because my buddy dragged me along. She's in corporate law at one of those big downtown firms where everyone wears $1,000 suits and talks about billable hours. I do graphic design, freelance mostly, which means I work from home in sweatpants and answer to no one but my clients. The first year was good. She liked that I was creative and didn't fit the corporate mold. I liked that she was driven and had her life together. But somewhere around year 2, things started shifting. She began commenting on my clothes when we went to her work events. Then it was my conversation topics. Then it was just general suggestions about how I should present myself around her colleagues. By year 3, I wasn't her boyfriend anymore. I was her accessory, the quirky, creative guy she could trot out at parties, but only if I stayed in my lane and didn't embarrass her. I noticed it gradually, like watching paint peel. She'd grip my arm a little too hard when I started telling a story. She'd change the subject when I mentioned my work. She'd introduce me with less and less enthusiasm until it became just, "This is my boyfriend," with no elaboration. I should have left. Looking back, the signs were flashing neon. But you know how it is when you're in it. You make excuses. You tell yourself it's just stress from her job. You convince yourself that love means compromise, even when the compromise is your entire personality. Last month, she told me about the annual board reception her firm was hosting. Huge deal, apparently. Partners, clients, some guest of honor who was a big name in corporate circles. She'd been stressed about it for weeks, planning her outfit, rehearsing talking points, strategizing who she needed to network with. 2 days before the event, we were having dinner at her place when she brought it up again. "I need you to understand how important Friday night is," she said, not looking up from her salad. "This could make or break my partnership track." "I get it," I said. "You've mentioned it." "I'm serious. The guest of honor is going to be there. She sits on the board of 3 Fortune 500 companies. Having her notice me could change everything." "Okay, what do you need from me?" She finally looked at me. "I need you to be on your best behavior. Dress appropriately. Don't talk about your work unless someone specifically asks. And please, please, don't try to be funny." "I'm not allowed to have a personality?" "That's not what I said." "It's what you meant." She sighed, that exasperated sound she'd been making more and more lately. "Can you just do this for me? One night. That's all I'm asking." I should have said no. Should have told her that if she was embarrassed by who I was, we had bigger problems. But I didn't. I just nodded and finished my dinner in silence. The night of the reception, I put on the suit she'd picked out. Charcoal gray, crisp white shirt, burgundy tie. I looked like every other guy who'd be at that event, which was probably the point. She inspected me when I came out of the bedroom, adjusting my collar and smoothing my lapels like I was a mannequin. "Remember what we talked about?" she said as we headed out. "Stay quiet and look pretty. Got it. Don't be like that." We took a car service to the hotel. The entire ride she was on her phone, texting colleagues and checking the guest list. She didn't say a word to me until we pulled up to the entrance. The reception was in a massive ballroom with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, chandeliers, ice sculptures, waiters circulating with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. Classical music played softly in the background. It was the kind of event where everyone looked important and acted like they'd rather be anywhere else. My girlfriend went into full networking mode the second we walked in. She worked the room with precision, stopping to chat with partners, laughing at unfunny jokes, touching people's arms in that calculated way that's supposed to seem genuine. I followed a few steps behind, smiling when appropriate, shaking hands when introduced, saying as little as possible. About 30 minutes in, she pulled me aside near the bar. Her smile vanished the second we were out of earshot. "Stay quiet tonight," she said, voice low and urgent. "These people matter. I haven't said anything. Good. Keep it that way. The guest of honor should be arriving soon, and I need to make the right impression. What do you want me to do? Just stand back. Look supportive. Don't insert yourself into conversations. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You want me to be invisible? I want you to be aware of the situation. This isn't about you. It never is. Her eyes flashed. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I'll stay quiet. She studied my face for a moment, like she was trying to determine if I was being sarcastic. Then she squeezed my arm and walked back into the crowd. I grabbed a whiskey from the bar and found a spot near the windows where I could watch without being noticed. The guest of honor arrived about 20 minutes later. The energy in the room shifted immediately. Conversations got quieter. People started gravitating toward the entrance. I saw my girlfriend position herself strategically near the door, adjusting her dress and practicing her smile. The woman who walked in was probably late 50s, wearing an elegant navy dress and carrying herself with the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. She had short silver hair and sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. People approached her immediately, but she handled them with polite efficiency, shaking hands and moving forward without getting trapped in conversation. My girlfriend stepped into her path, extending her hand with that practiced smile. I saw her mouth moving, saw the woman nod politely. Then something strange happened. The woman's eyes shifted past my girlfriend, scanning the room, and locked directly onto me. She walked past my girlfriend, just walked right past her like she wasn't there. The crowd parted as she crossed the ballroom, and I realized she was coming straight toward me. I glanced behind me, thinking maybe she was looking at someone else, but there was just the window. She stopped about 3 feet away, studying my face with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. The people nearby had gone quiet, watching. I know you, she said. I don't think so, I managed. We've never met. No, but I know who you are. She took a step closer. You're the graphic designer, the one who did the campaign for the environmental nonprofit last year. I blinked. How did you? I'm on the board of that nonprofit. I saw your work. It was exceptional. Bold, authentic, nothing like the corporate nonsense we usually see. She smiled. I've been trying to track you down for months. My assistant couldn't find any contact information beyond your old website. I've been meaning to update that, I said, still processing. Well, consider yourself found. She pulled out her phone. I want to hire you. I'm launching a new initiative, and I need someone who can create something genuine. Not another committee-approved focus group disaster. Are you available? Yes, I'd need to hear more about the project, but yes. We exchanged information right there. She asked about my process, my influences, my availability. We talked for maybe 15 minutes, and I forgot about the room around us until I noticed my girlfriend standing a few feet away, her face pale. The guest of honor followed my gaze. Oh, is this your girlfriend? The one who tried to intercept me at the door? Yes, I said. She should be proud of you. You're very talented. She turned to my girlfriend. You didn't mention your boyfriend was the designer behind the Meadowbrook campaign. My girlfriend's smile looked painful. I didn't realize you'd be familiar with his work. I make it my business to know talent when I see it. She turned back to me. I'll have my assistant reach out next week to set up a proper meeting. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your evening. She moved on to greet the firm's senior partners. I stood there holding my whiskey, aware that everyone nearby had witnessed the entire exchange. My girlfriend's colleagues were staring. Some looked impressed. Others looked confused. My girlfriend looked furious. She grabbed my elbow and steered me toward the hallway outside the ballroom. The second we were alone, she dropped the smile. What was that? She hissed. She recognized my work. You made me look like an idiot. How? I didn't do anything. You upstaged me at my own firm's event. She approached me. What was I supposed to do? You could have directed the conversation back to me, mentioned what I do, made an introduction that mattered. She wanted to talk about my work. Your work? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Your freelance graphic design? That's what was important tonight? Apparently to her, yes. Do you know how this looks? I've been trying to get her attention for weeks, and she walks past me to talk to my boyfriend about some charity project. That charity project took me 4 months. It was featured in 3 major publications. But you wouldn't know that because you've never asked about my work. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me about a project or showed any interest in what I do? You treat my career like it's a hobby that's slightly embarrassing. That's not true. You told me not to talk about my work tonight unless someone specifically asked. You dressed me like one of your colleagues. You literally told me to stay quiet because these people matter, like I don't. She opened her mouth, closed it. Her eyes were shining with anger or tears or both. I need to go back in there, she finally said, and I need you to not make this worse. Make what worse? This situation. People are going to have questions. Let them ask. That's easy for you to say. You don't have to face these people every day. You don't have to worry about your reputation. Neither do you. You're worried about your image. That's different. She stared at me for a long moment. I'm going back inside. Are you coming? No. No? I'm going home. You can stay and network. You can't just leave. Watch me. I walked toward the elevator. She called after me, but I didn't turn around. I took a car back to my apartment, changed into sweatpants, and sat on my couch in the dark, thinking about the last 4 years. Update 1. My girlfriend didn't come home that night. She texted around midnight saying she was staying at her place and we'd talk tomorrow. I didn't respond. The next morning, I woke up to an email from the guest of honor's assistant. They wanted to schedule a video call for Monday to discuss the project in detail. The scope was bigger than I'd expected, a full rebrand for a new foundation, plus ongoing creative direction, the kind of project that could change the trajectory of my career. I was still processing that when my girlfriend showed up at my apartment around 10 a.m. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept. She came in without being invited and sat on my couch. We need to talk, she said. Okay. Last night was a disaster. For you, maybe. She looked up sharply. What's that supposed to mean? I got offered a major project from someone who actually respects my work. Seems like a pretty good night from where I'm sitting. While humiliating me in front of my entire firm. I didn't humiliate you. You humiliated yourself by treating me like I was someone you needed to manage instead of someone you're supposed to support. I was trying to help you navigate that environment. I don't need help navigating. I need a girlfriend who's proud of me. I am proud of you. Are you? Because you've spent 4 years trying to minimize who I am, making me smaller so you can look bigger. She was quiet for a long moment. That's not what I was doing. Then what were you doing? I was trying to protect you. Those environments can be cutthroat. I didn't want you to get hurt. By doing what? Having a conversation? Being myself? The only one who's hurt me in this relationship is you. Her face crumpled. That's not fair. You know what's not fair? Being told to stay quiet because the people around you matter more than I do. Being dressed up like a doll because my actual style is embarrassing. Being treated like your success and my success can't coexist. I never said that. You didn't have to. You showed me every time you changed the subject when I talked about my work. Every time you introduced me as just your boyfriend with no elaboration. Every time you acted like my career was something to tolerate rather than celebrate. She was crying now, but I felt numb. What do you want me to say? I don't want you to say anything. I want you to leave. You're breaking up with me? I'm making space for both of us to figure out who we are without each other. That's the same thing. Then yes, I'm breaking up with you. She stood up, wiping her eyes. This is because of last night. Because she noticed you and not me. No. This is because of the last 4 years. Last night just made it impossible to ignore anymore. She left without another word. I heard her crying in the hallway, but I didn't go after her. I sat on my couch and felt relieved, which told me everything I needed to know. Update 2. The video call on Monday went better than I could have imagined. The guest of honor, I'll call her M, was direct and enthusiastic about the project. She wanted something bold, something that would cut through the noise of typical nonprofit marketing. She'd seen my work for the environmental charity and loved that I hadn't played it safe. "I'm tired of committees and consensus," she said. "I want a singular vision. Can you give me that?" "Yes," I said, without hesitation. We talked for over an hour about concepts, timelines, budgets. By the end of the call, I had a signed contract for more money than I'd made in the last 2 years combined. She also mentioned she'd be introducing me to other boards she sat on, if I was interested. "I know talent when I see it," she said, "and I know how to recognize when someone's been underestimated. Don't let anyone make you smaller than you are." I thought about my ex-girlfriend and nodded. Over the next few weeks, word spread about the project. Other organizations started reaching out. My inbox filled with opportunities I would have killed for a year ago. I updated my website, raised my rates, started being more selective about clients. For the first time in years, I felt like I was building something real. My ex texted occasionally, first with apologies, then with questions about whether we could talk, then with updates about her life that I didn't respond to. I finally blocked her number after she showed up at my apartment one evening, drunk and crying about how she'd made a mistake. "I just wanted you to fit in," she said through the door. I thought I was helping. "I don't need to fit in," I said. "I needed you to believe in me." She left. I heard from a mutual friend later that she'd told people we broke up because I was too focused on my career. The irony wasn't lost on me. Update 3. 3 months after the reception, M invited me to lunch. She wanted to discuss expanding our working relationship, but she also wanted to tell me something. "I knew exactly who you were when I walked into that room," she said. "I'd already decided I wanted to hire you. But when I saw your girlfriend trying to position herself to intercept me, I got curious." "Curious how?" "About what kind of person would date someone with your talent and then try to keep you in the background. So I walked straight to you instead, wanted to see how she'd react." I set down my fork. "You did that on purpose?" "I did. And I'm not sorry. That woman was never going to appreciate you. She was too busy building herself up to notice she was tearing you down. You could have just hired me normally." "I could have. But you needed to see what it looked like when someone valued your work. Sometimes we get so used to being diminished that we forget what respect feels like." She was right. I'd spent 4 years accepting scraps of support, convincing myself that my ex's tolerance was the same as pride. One conversation with someone who actually respected my work had shattered that illusion completely. "Thank you," I said. "Don't thank me. Just keep doing what you're doing. And next time someone tries to make you quiet, walk away sooner." Final update. It's been 8 months since that reception. The foundation rebrand launched last month to significant media attention. I've been interviewed by design publications, invited to speak at conferences, offered more work than I can reasonably take. My calendar is booked through next year, and I'm finally making the kind of money that matches my skill level. I ran into my ex a few weeks ago at a coffee shop. She looked good, put together as always. She congratulated me on the foundation project, said she'd seen the coverage. "I always knew you were talented," she said. "No, you didn't," I replied. "You knew I was talented, but you didn't think it mattered. There's a difference." She didn't argue. We made awkward small talk for a few minutes, then went our separate ways. I heard from that same mutual friend that she'd made partner at her firm. Good for her. I hope she finds someone whose success doesn't threaten her own. As for me, I'm good. Better than good. I'm working on projects I care about, with people who value what I bring to the table. I'm dating someone new, a photographer who gets excited when I talk about typography and color theory. We celebrate each other's wins instead of competing for space. I learned something important from all this. You can't build a life with someone who needs you to be smaller. Real love doesn't ask you to stay quiet. It doesn't require you to dim your light so someone else can shine. It amplifies you. It celebrates you. It creates space for both people to grow. M was right. Sometimes you need someone to show you what respect looks like before you realize how long you've been living without it. I'm grateful for that reception, for that moment when someone walked across a room to acknowledge my work instead of expecting me to hide it. I'm grateful I finally learned to take up space,